Sort of.
That sounds like Jesse's Girl. That sounds like the beginning of a song.
1, 4, 5, 6, call me.
That was Drake-ish, but yeah, fine. Yeah. What's up, guys? This is John with Balcony DAO. I am here at Avalanche Barcelona, hanging out with my buddy Ty Blackard of Nifty Labs. Great project, really interesting company. Ty's also a rock star, young, smart guy that I like a lot. Also, one of my collaborators on Pitch DAO, which is a whole other thing that we can talk about some other time. But good dude. I'm excited to let you guys kind of dig into this project. Ty, tell us a little bit about Nifty Labs, a token gated token gating as a service.
Yes.
Nifty Labs, token gating as a service.
Yes. So we just recently came up with the terminology for that. Mm-hmm. Token gating as a service. It's a cool concept, and maybe we should sort of explain what token gating is first.
Yeah.
So token gating is it's a concept that's been thrown around a lot in crypto, but it's rather simple and can get more complex depending on like how deep you get with it. So the idea is that you can take a digital asset, like a social token, fungible token, or a non-fungible token, and you can say, hey, I'm only going to give you access to these certain applications or services if you own these digital assets, right? Very specific.
Yeah, we're doing that at Balcony right now.
Yes.
We're doing that with our Balcony deed.
Right.
Okay, go on. I'm following you.
Yeah, so, and we can definitely touch on some of the use cases for that, because I'm sure we're obviously going to be working together on that as well.
Whoa. What are we, a minute and a half? Check the time. That is a get out fast shill. Get out fast shill. Woo-hoo-hoo, man, you just slid right into the DMs. I love it. All right, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going, we're with you.
So essentially, once you have verified that a user owns a digital asset in their wallet, you can then grant them access to these different applications and services. So that's essentially the core basis of what we do at Nifty Labs. We sort of, you could say pioneered the way of digital asset verification for NFTs. Mm-hmm. In late 2020, we started out with an MVP called Nifty Connect. It was rather successful. We had an opportunity to get quite a few partners early on, and because it's sort of a novel concept to token gating with NFTs. It had been done before with like social tokens, and that was cool, but the thing about NFTs is they offer a lot more, and we'll touch on that, just because of the way that the smart contract is built itself. So essentially we sort of pioneered NFT token gating, and we did that with basically proving that you own an NFT to get access to a Discord channel. It was the first iteration that we built. And from there, we ended up building a token ecosystem, so Nifty Network. We also have started building a product called Social Pass, and we'll get into that as well. That's sort of a little bit about Nifty Labs. Myself, I've been in the industry since 2017. I've traveled the world, met a lot of really cool people in the space, so been able to build a network, fortunately, in this industry. And I met people like yourself, people like Damien behind the camera, who probably doesn't get enough love, but he should. And it's a little bit about myself and a little bit about Nifty Labs, and we can go any which direction with that. You just pioneered the camera guy show. The camera guy show. That's also never been done before. Third person. Yeah, you just broke the wall. Oh, no. Yeah, you broke the third wall. Damien's great. Your product, we can use your product for Balcony. We have a Balcony deed, and our deed provides you access to certain in real life events, like the stuff that we're having in Miami. Which I own one. Which is one of my favorite things about you, by the way. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Then after the Balcony deed, we're going to have the Balcony Assets Club. That is going to also provide access to in real life events, but they kind of both, I think, could utilize Nifty Labs, because, for example, if we have an event at the Balcony House in Miami, right, and we are saying, okay, you have to be a deed holder to come in, you could actually build the system that allows us to check on this easily, make sure it's verified, it's not a falsified deed that some person we don't know used to show up. How does that all work? Yes, it's really cool. So the NFT, the Balcony deed that you have, it has a very specific contract address, right? When you mint your NFTs, they're minted from your contract address. You own it, right? In some cases, you could obviously use other companies' contract addresses like Rarible, OpenSea, things like that. But most cases, obviously, you'll own that contract address. So it's like your home on the Ethereum network or whatever network you're using. And so once you have your contract address, depending on what standard of token you ended up minting, like a 721 or 1155, you'll be given token IDs. Now with 721s, you can be given unique token IDs, right? So you could have 100 different 721 tokens, and it's going to be 1 through 100 for those token IDs. Now if you have an 1155 contract and you only mint that batch one time, you have 100 NFTs in that batch, the token ID is going to be 1. It's not going to be 1 through 100, right? So with 721 contracts, it's the best contract to use to really differentiate the NFTs. You can still do this stuff with 1155s, but it requires you to use the metadata, and we'll touch on that as well. Anyways, so once you have the contract address and the token ID of these NFTs that you want to sort of use as the gate, right? We need you to own this NFT to get access. Then what we can do is we can check the user's wallets through a user interface, of course, where the user can actually like sign a signature from their wallet. They don't have to send NFTs anywhere. They don't have to like send them to a contract or anything like that, which is one thing that a lot of people have concerns about with token gating, because nobody wants to send their NFTs anywhere.
Yeah, of course not.
Bad idea.
Terrible idea.
Especially when you're talking about NFTs that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, at some random event.
Definitely not worth it. Yeah. So we don't have to do that. We can simply say, hey, sign the signature that is only going to check the balance of your NFT in that wallet. And it can also help to whitelist that wallet for future use cases if you're ever interested in that. But we'll say, hey, we need you to have the Balcony Deed NFT. And it has a specific contract address and token ID, and we're going to require that. And we want to check your wallet to see if you actually own that. Once we do know that you have that NFT, hey, here's your access. We can actually, very simple, true or false, right? So now you've been granted this access. We can, through our systems, return you a unique QR code that is obviously unique to your event. We can also do like cool custom branding on that as well. So it's not just a QR code, it actually has like a ticket format, which is really cool. And maybe when in the editing process, I'll send you guys a video that you can use to sort of visualize this. But yeah, so you'll have a ticket. Once you actually have a ticket that represents your ownership, then you can actually use that at the gate or the event, right? Where we can actually scan that ticket, and we know that you have that NFT because the only way to get that ticket is if you actually prove the ownership when you're going through the process of RSVPing. So that's the whole process. The whole thing is in-house. We're not using any third-party services. Everything is built by us.
I actually didn't know the mechanics of how your product works, and I always assumed that you had to purchase or receive an 1155 and that you were subsequently airdropped 721s into your 1155 as your actual ticket to enter any of these events. That's how I.
That's a cool way of doing it.
I mean, that's how I thought it worked.
Yeah, no, it's very simple. We just have to verify your ownership. All we need to know is that you are who you say you are, and we can do that by you signing the signature, because only the wallet holder can sign that signature. Like I can't sign a signature for you if you own that wallet, right? So we know that you are in fact the wallet owner, and we also know that you do have this NFT because it would have to be in your wallet. So we'll check the token ID and contract address for that NFT in that wallet. So it's really simple, and I mean, like you said, it sounds a lot more complicated, and there's way more complicated ways of doing it, but the way that we do it is actually just very simple, and it's much more secure, and a lot of people like that. So
it's kind of dummy proof as well.
Yes.
You're also in luck because our Balcony Deed, as you already know, because you are a Balcony Deed holder. Welcome to the club, by the way.
Oh, thank you, sir. Well done. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You own a 721. We issued that as an ERC 721 contract.
Beautiful.
And the idea is that when we have assets like a building, for example, that will one day trade on a one-for-one basis, or a condo is a better example, that trades on a one-for-one basis, that would be an 1155. Because, to your point, contract address is unico. It's just that one, so it has this singular identifier. But these are 721s, and when we start putting metadata into the blockchain for these assets, we're going to use 721s to do this as well.
Yes.
So we're already kind of simpatico with how we're operating, and we could probably use you to actually provide this service, for people at our events, which would be great.
That would be awesome.
What's the cost?
What's the cost? Early users, we'll negotiate on that.
We give extra money to deed holders, by the way.
Oh, well, in that case, we'll figure it out, So token gating as a service is the model that we're using, monthly, yearly subscription costs. And so the way that we can actually work with businesses is through 3 different models. The first way is the white label out-of-the-box solution,
Yep.
which is primarily for like just Web2 or Web3 brands that don't know anything about crypto. They're just very sort of out of the loop on NFTs and crypto in general, but they do know they want to have NFT ecosystems with continuous engagement for that ecosystem, right? And so that's actually, it's been surprising how many brands are actually like
who? I mean, I could see music, right? Like musicians definitely want this for concerts.
Yes, definitely. Musicians want it, bands, concerts, even events, venues, sports teams, sports clubs. You're seeing a lot more, sort of companies and organizations that are requesting like ticket gating. But again, like these guys don't know anything about like the technical aspect. And what I also discovered in talking to a lot of brands is that a lot of times the PR team, like the marketing team, is running these initiatives for these rollouts. And so that, depending on like the company, they're very sort of segmented and disconnected to other departments of the company. Like it's not like, oh yeah, PR team can request engineering team to come in and just do this work, right? It takes a lot of work and effort just to be able to formulate that, and bureaucracy, and there's no time for that, right?
Yep.
Especially if you want to be on the cutting edge.
Plus a divorce from the revenue side of the business.
Right. And that's primarily what these NFT rollout strategies are right now, is sort of like these PR stunts in a lot of cases. But I mean, these guys realize as well, like there's something here. There's a lot of opportunities here to capture like a new audience, which is interesting because you can actually find out a lot about this audience based on what kind of NFTs they hold.
Okay, so I did some stuff in the music space. What I used to tell people, which I think is exactly what you're saying right now, is that music creates a psychographic unlike anything else, right? Like you tell me what your favorite song in high school was, you tell me what your favorite song in college was, you tell me what your favorite song after college was, give me those 3 data points, I probably know where you grew up, I knew what kind of friends you hung out with, I probably know what kind of grades you got, you learn a lot about people from this information. And I think we're getting to the same point with NFTs. It's like, do you have a crypto? Do you have a crypto punk? Do you have a Bored Ape Yacht Club, or do you have some obscure thing? Be a Pudgy Penguin, like
Ferrari NFT or whatever.
You're a Pudgy Penguin guy, right?
Yes.
Which is its own thing. Like everyone I know who has a Pudgy Penguin is kind of like their own. They're similar, right? Like they exist in a certain strata.
Yes.
And so you're saying that you're going into people's wallets and you're analyzing that metadata and saying, okay, we have an idea of who this consumer is from this anonymous wallet. We know more about this person than if I had their name and I didn't have this data.
Yes, it's Web3 consumer data, basically. You're going to see a lot of, well, actually, I've already seen people talking about like who's building like the Web3 CRM, which I think we have a close friend in the pitch DAO who's building something.
I saw that.
Very similar. Yes, Amy from Mint Party.
She's a clever one.
Yes, definitely.
We like Amy.
We do. I think that's going to be really important, and I know that.
That was a pitch DAO homie show.
Pitch DAO homie.
Oh, wow. We're just going back to back here. I mean, how many shows can we do in one episode? How many are allowed?
That's a shill. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out how many shows we could do in an episode.
Yeah, awesome. Well, so Amy's already, sort of like on this, agenda of creating like this, the early build outs of like Web3 CRM. And I know for a fact in talking to these brands that this is exactly what they're looking for. They want to know what are the sort of Web3 consumer trends that we should know about. How else do you find that out other than looking at somebody's wallet who's accessing different applications and services, sort of connect the two, but also know like, okay, like you said, if somebody owns a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, a Ferrari NFT, and a CryptoPunk, well, we can make a couple of assumptions about you. Either you're really lucky,
Yep.
okay, and you're really good at getting these NFTs very early, okay, or you have a rather high net worth that allows you to purchase these NFTs. And there's also ways to sort of capture the historical data on that, and a lot of companies are doing that currently. But what really gets interesting is when you can actually tie this sort of niche ownership data of these NFTs to the access, to the Web2 portion, which is, well, if this guy owns a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, a CryptoPunk, and a Ferrari NFT, and he goes to the Ferrari events, and in San Francisco, for example, and then he also goes to the Bored Ape Yacht Club events in Miami or whatever, right? And he also is in these communities, because we know that he's joining these communities with these NFTs. All of that starts to create what we would call an identity graph, and that identity graph can be completely anonymous. I don't need to know your name. I don't need to know really anything about you. I'm just interested in like what you're interested in. I just want to know like what sort of consumer trends you're following, which will help me as a Web2 or Web3 company figure out ways to advertise to you, which is obviously what these big Web2 brands want to be able to do, and a lot of other different things. But that's sort of like the data side, which we've recently sort of got caught up on. We didn't know a whole lot about ad tech and things like that, but we've had the opportunity to sort of learn about that and talking to these brands. But yeah, there's a lot of different sort of directions that you can go with that.
That's fascinating. So, is it possible that the anon advertising, instead of being intrusive and interrupting, is helpful, and the anon is going to want to be advertised and marketed to?
Yes. It's interesting, and I think that now with this Web3 ownership economy, not only can you be served ads, for example, that you'd probably want to be able to see, but you could probably be rewarded for even
for watching,
for sort of volunteering to have that data used, right?
Monetize your own eyeballs.
Exactly, and that doesn't exist, currently in like the Web2 framework. Like you are the product a lot of times. Like if you're using Twitter, the free app, sorry, but your data is being used to serve up to these advertisers who are also paying Twitter to be able to advertise to you, and you are the product, right? But in the Web3 ownership economy, you can actually be rewarded for actually providing your attention, right? Funny enough, Brave, the Brave browser, their token is called the Basic Attention Token.
Yep.
They want to capture your attention, and they'll reward you for that. So they already started the model for this, and I think that's actually going to continue to be like sort of the trend moving forward. Now we'll have to obviously see some legislation, regulation, stuff like that to sort of like ease over these Web2 companies on this concept, but it's already being done. So
both of our projects have a shared attribute, which is real world, right?
Yep.
Like we have real world assets.
Right.
Your project is about creating real world applications for these NFTs that live in your wallet that give you access to maybe things that we develop at Balcony DAO.
Yes.
Properties that you can get into, or clubs or events and so forth. So I guess the question is, how does your product look 10 years from now? How does this become integrated into the in real life experience in a way that's transformative?
So our goal from the beginning at Nifty Labs was we didn't want to sort of, here's a funny little term, we didn't want to Ponzi-nomics our way around, okay?
I love Ponzi-nomics.
And so the idea behind like a Ponzi-nomics sort of concept is that money and usability is all kind of circulating in the same echo chamber, right? And that's what happens a lot of times in crypto and Web3. And that happens because there isn't sort of like a method of bridging the Web3 blockchain world to that Web2 real world, tangible world, right? And so from the beginning we said, okay, cool, NFTs are speculative right now. This is mid 2020 when we sort of came up with the concept. And that's great. We love that. We love the art. We love all these different concepts, coming out for the content side of NFTs. But that's the beginning.
Yep.
The next level is being able to take that NFT and actually have tangible real-world use cases that benefit your daily life, right. that make you want to buy this NFT not for the content at all. Maybe you don't even buy it for the content. You buy it for the utility specifically. So in the next 10 years, I personally, and I know you think the same, I personally think that all assets are going to be tokenized,
I agree.
including real estate, right?
Obviously.
So, the deed to your house, your social security, like all government documents that are sort of like very important to you as a person. Even like, tangible real world assets, like for example.
COVID cards was like the biggest miss ever for NFTs.
I know.
It's like, how the hell was that not
How'd
an
you guys
NFT?
miss that one? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And like, for example, here's another cool use case for retail, and this is going to be big. Being able to sort of present a digital representation of a physical asset. So for example, Louis Vuitton, they have Louis Vuitton purses, but they also have Louis Vuitton NFTs. What's stopping Louis Vuitton from giving you a digital, like an NFT representation of that physical item that you purchase, or a Rolex, for example? So not only can I flex my Rolex in the physical world, I could flex it in the digital world too, the metaverse, right? And we'll maybe touch on the metaverse a little bit more, but the metaverse can't exist without NFTs. NFTs can exist without the metaverse. So NFTs are very crucial in every part of finance, business, assets, real world use cases. They're so much more important than we have been giving credit to them for. And I think it's because of sort of like the boom of the NFT market.
The boom and the stupidity.
Yes, and that happens.
Yeah, the frothy fervor, the complete inanity of it all.
Yes.
Just becomes too much.
Yes, and that's basically what it was for fungible tokens, before like ICOs, IEOs, all of that stuff, like 2017 through 2019, even to early 2020. But in mid-2020, we call it DeFi summer. I was there for that. That was a good time.
Wasn't that also White Boy Summer?
It might have actually been. Might have been, yeah.
It was a big summer, man.
Big summer, yeah. Yes, so if you were in crypto, there's a good chance it was a great summer for you.
Especially if you were white.
Yes. So, yeah. So DeFi summer was very interesting because what happened is sort of the next evolution, the use cases, the functionality of a fungible token, which was DeFi. Now you can lend, you can borrow against your assets, right? You can do this all without a third party. Never been done before, never even thought about, right? Before you would just sort of, I'll buy Bitcoin, I'll buy Ethereum, and I'll sell it, and that's the extent of what we can do with crypto.
Yep, hodl. All you can do is hodl.
Yeah, I mean, that was the key phrase, right? Everybody would just tell you to hodl and be like, why? Why?
Like, you don't want that fiat. You're like, I kind of want that fiat.
God, what's the reason for hodling again? It's going down in price? So yeah, DeFi summer definitely helped to sort of solidify the fungible tokens use cases. And we're seeing the exact same thing happen with NFTs, where it's sort of like the 2017 to 2019 era. And that's, that's cool. It's part of the progress. It's part of evolution, right? You're going to have a lot of projects come out, and we'll see which ones remain, right? Like obviously Yuga Labs, Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think we can all say here that it's pretty established. I don't think it's going anywhere. But other projects, maybe not so much. And so NFTs are just now sort of getting into what I've been calling phase 2. I've been calling it this since like 2020 because I could see sort of like the writing on the wall. This is the exact same thing. And so now we're going into that like functional use case phase where people are like, oh, NFTs can do a lot more than just be content. And so, yeah, I guess that's sort of like maybe a summary on the question you asked, like what do you think NFTs are going to be doing in 10 years? I think all assets are going to be tokenized. I think the way that you tokenize these assets is through NFTs. I think that we have really vastly unexplored NFTs and their use cases and their technology use cases, because the smart contracts themselves offer a lot with the metadata that you can plug in, and you guys are exploring that, and we'll probably touch on that. But yeah, that's sort of like a summary on the next 10 years.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. So in the real estate world, barring condo development, the cellular level building block, right, of real estate is the lease. The lease is what allows you to derive value, financialize these assets, hypothecate them, borrow against them. The lease is what creates the value, right? And in the NFT world, or in Web3, like you, I believe the NFT is the cellular level building block of the metaverse. And it's the cellular level building block of really what I would say is a 21st century economy. I mean, I'm like beyond this ridiculous, like endless conversation about metaverse. Every time I speak to somebody who's not in crypto, they're like, "What are you like? This is stupid. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't, like
Yeah.
speak English," and they're kind of right. Like,
Kind of right.
It's not the metaverse. It's
Yeah.
just the 21st century. Like, if you can get a better yield someplace, like call it Sari, Harry, I don't care.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You're going to go to wherever you get that better yield.
Right.
And if you have a tool that can more accurately identify ownership, why wouldn't you use that? Right? And if you want to build the metaverse with that, go right ahead. Like,
Right.
if you want to play like Rock'em Sock'em Robots V2 on the internet, do that. I don't really care. But for my money, what's interesting to me, and I think you as well, is this idea that we can change how we deal with provenance. We could change how we deal with ownership. We could change how we financialize assets that we care to financialize. Unfortunately, there's going to be lots that we don't that are also going to be financialized. But that to me is what's interesting. The NFT technology is ideally suited for it.
Yes.
And it's fascinating.
I agree. There's a term that's being thrown out quite a bit now, especially from venture firms. The venture firms like to come up with these terms a lot of times, which are, a lot of times good terms, but
They're good at it.
they are good at it, I'll be honest.
Like, it's just like how real estate guys used to name
Yeah.
neighborhoods. It's like Soho. That's a good ass
Actually,
name.
that's really good, yeah. Or SoCal, did they come up with that too?
yeah. The real estate guys came up with SoCal.
Yeah.
We did that.
So the term is called composability, okay? And Andreessen Horowitz actually just wrote a whole article on it. It's pretty good. And the idea behind like composability is that you essentially have like these building blocks on the blockchain, right? And the sort of core cellular level building block, like you just mentioned, is really the NFTs. Is really like the ability to sort of like use NFTs to connect to metaverses, connect to the real world, connect to assets. You can use these NFTs to do so many different functions, and it's just one. It's just one little asset, right? But the power behind the technology, behind the ability to sort of like, okay, tie ownership, access, collateralization. You can actually even take your NFT and use it as a wearable in the metaverse, right? So that's cool. Represented in the physical world as well, through different functions like tickets and things like that. So there are so many different composable functions that you can just sort of all add into one little ERC 721 or 1155 contract.
Yep.
That is composability, and it's incredible. And I don't think that people really understand how crazy NFTs are.
They don't understand.
Yeah.
And it bothers me because when I tell people about NFTs, they're like, I'm not into JPEGs. I'm like, stop it. Like,
Dude, right-click save. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, I don't understand why they're worth something. I'm like, I'm talking about real things. Like,
Yes.
I'm not talking about make pretend things. Like,
Yes.
it's very, very, very frustrating because people really don't understand. And they also don't understand how easy it is to deploy these contracts and
Right.
to build these things.
Dude, it's so hard, man. Like, you just got to, Solidity and stuff. But it's like, no, actually, I could just kind of go to OpenSea, mint, like, a bunch of 1155 or 721 contracts pretty easily, And then if you want to get more complex, with the metadata and things like that, Solidity is really not that difficult. And
I love it. I think it's a very, very elegant language.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's if you've done really any amount of programming, you're going to sort of come across it and be very fond of it because, one, you only have to write it one time.
Yep.
You only have to write the code one time, and then once you send it, it's
done.
sent. It's done.
You can't change it.
You can't change
It's out there
it.
forever.
Yep. That's why it's called a smart contract. You cannot edit that contract. Now, you can do some things where you can sort of create like wrapped versions if you ever need to change that contract or sort of edit it in the future. You can also edit the metadata.
Yep.
Right? Because a lot of times that metadata...
That's part of what we're doing at Balcony.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that, actually. But yeah, you can edit the metadata, itself because a lot of times it's being hosted from either decentralized servers, databases or centralized databases. But either way, you can sort of edit that after the NFT is already out because that sort of metadata is just being hosted somewhere and it's directing to that smart contract, to the actual NFT itself. So yeah, let's talk about the sort of metadata that you guys are working with. We were talking about it earlier today.
Yeah, we were. As you know, we both went to the gym today, despite going out and feasting on steak and having drinks last night.
We did, and by the way,
responsible adult Shill.
It was great steak. Very good. Yes,
That was so delicious.
it was good.
Yes. So as you know, what we're building at Balcony DAO requires an enormous amount of metadata. I mean, a tremendous amount of metadata. We're describing, buildings down to the brick, basically, right?
Right.
At some point, we talk about 10 years down. 10 years down the line, I want to know where every single product and material in every single building came from, the provenance of that, which on some other chain, not ours. Maybe that's VE chain or whatever the case may be. Some logistics chain. But I want to know all of that data because 100 years from now, some of that may be, cancerous, right? We might have known carcinogens in this property. Today, when you run your environmentals, you got to go find out like, oh, this caulking around this window from 1955 might have asbestos in it. So you pay $75,000 for 3 guys to run their finger across every square inch of your building and tell you how much it costs at the end of it. It's a crappy process. 100 years from now, you should be able to buy a building and just know through the metadata every single thing about it.
Right.
Financially, physically, operationally, qualitatively, quantitatively, every single piece of metadata. We're talking about huge amounts of data.
Yes.
Enormous amounts of data. And we need to be able to access that data. We need to be able to update that data. We need other people to do it. And so what we're doing is we're building the schema for everybody to use because we have competitors.
What's a schema for people who don't know?
What's a schema? Okay, so the schema is the data, or in this case, the metadata, and how it's structured, right? And so what that means is, for example, if I were to describe Ty, right? You have first name, last name, perhaps social security number, maybe a home address, maybe there's a gender, maybe there's height. Your height is, call it 6 foot or something or thereabout, right? So that's a number. So in Solidity, that's uint, right? We're going to use that as a number that's going to describe your height, right? We may have that so that we can compare it to other numbers. If it was saved as SIX space FOOT, I couldn't compare that to somebody who lived in South Korea, perhaps, who then put it in their metadata as not even 6 foot. Maybe they just wrote 2M for 2 meters. Now we have a problem. We have conflicting schema databases. They can't speak to each other. And this composability issue and this interoperability issue that we were describing arises because we now have conflicting data structures. And so the schema is this data structure. It's going to show you exactly what the input fields are. It's going to describe what kind of a field those are. Does Ty exist? True or false? Boolean.
I hope so.
Right. You don't even know. That's the thing that's so crazy about existence. That's why we have philosophy.
Yeah.
That's another show.
Balcony and philosophy?
That's balcony and buds or something. Balcony and bong hits.
Trademark.
Legal in 13 states show.
Legal in 13 states show.
So anyway, that's the schema. We're building the schema. I have competitors. God bless them. I love them. I want them all to do well. I really do. If you're out there and you're building a real estate NFT-backed project, come work with me and build the schema and use one schema, knucklehead, because you're going to want to buy my building or I'm going to try to sell you my building and we won't be able to do it because you made your own stupid schema. Just come build the schema with me. I want everybody to build a schema with me.
I want to build a schema with you.
You should. I think you owe me some schema.
Well, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. So it's so funny, but metadata trait standards or schemas are the building blocks for the infrastructure to how all of these NFTs need to be developed. I mean, obviously for real estate specifically as well. But even before we even get to that point, there's still a lot of these networks, the new networks, that are popping up, or even existing ones, like BNB Chain, for example, that just recently got a few of the marketplaces that are on BNB Chain to agree to that metadata trait standard, right? Like, hey, we're going to organize the metadata like this, okay? Instead of like you said, name, it's like, for example, the empirical system versus the metric.
Yeah, or even calendars, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever coded, calendars is like the biggest pain in the ass of everything, right? Because if what is it today? The 23rd, 25th, 24th. Today's the 24th of March.
Yes.
So if you're American, and you should be, it's 3/24, right? But if you're European, and I love you, it's 24-3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
no bueno. Like
that encoding, that's just like a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. It's like just pick one thing and go with it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're all trying to solve right now, or the networks are specifically. OpenSea was and became very popular because they came out with the OpenSea metadata trait standard, right? Where if you are using this specific trait standard, other marketplaces will recognize the data, the metadata, and they'll be able to say, okay, well, here's the properties. Okay, we got a hat, we got a shirt, legs, or pants, or shoes, whatever that.
And immediately calculate the rarity.
Right, and calculate the rarity, and so it's very simple to do that. But these networks are just now sort of catching on to creating these standards, and that's like the start. You can't even really have like an NFT ecosystem on that network that's thriving without solving that first. And so you have to get people to agree to it. You have to get these marketplaces and these companies to all say, okay, fine, we're going to do it that way. And in a decentralized world, it's not always easy to do that.
Yep.
But definitely, in terms of what you're talking about with real estate, you're going to have to sort of all come to the agreement on, hey, we're going to do the metadata this way. And it's not because like any one person's better, or like this one's better or this one's not. It's more like, hey, let's just like figure this out together. Let's just do this in a decentralized fashion. Right, all to come together to each share a piece of the pie instead of fighting over how we're going to be the experts on the way this is done.
It's just flexing, right? It's just chest pounding.
Yes.
It's like, this is biblical. This is the Tower of Babel, right?
Yeah.
It's like just pick one way to do this.
Yeah.
We should have learned from all of these other industries that have screwed this up, including Web 2 and Web 1.
Yep.
We should have learned from this. My biggest fear is that 3 or 5 years from now, Balcony DAO is an industry leader with several other similar peers, and they don't want to collaborate on something as simple as how do we build the schema. And if they don't, we break the whole industry or delay it. Because it'll happen eventually, but it'll be delayed a decade. For
when Schema DAO.
We should start Schema DAO. Look, there's schema.org, and schema.org is the Web 2 version of that. While we were at ETH Denver, we started we got involved with the NFT standards working group there, and I was like, look, no one's doing this real estate thing. I'm just going to grab this real estate piece of this, and anybody can join me. My competitors can join me. I'll buy you a beer. Like, we can do this, but this needs to happen. And it's just sad that it wasn't the first thing that's done. What's Nifty trading at right now?
I believe it's at 13 cents right now.
Okay, 13 cents, and you guys were like not a penny.
Yeah, we were, Nifty token was less than a penny for the longest time. Well, I say longest time. It was about a month when we first launched. And maybe this is the part of the show where we could briefly sort of get into tokenomics.
Yeah, let's do it. What is the market cap of Nifty today?
Believe it's around 35-40 million.
35-40 million bucks.
Yep.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And what kind of volume are you guys trading?
Well, according to some stats that came out a few days ago, we were doing 26 mil in 24 hours, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
But on average, I think it's somewhere between like 10 to 15 mil a day. And we have a pretty awesome community that we've been fortunate enough
Your community is wild.
They are wild. And if you're seeing this, Vietnam, Turkey, Africa, Espanol, there's so many other communities we have. If you're seeing this, love you guys, appreciate all the support. But we do. We have a pretty awesome community.
You know what that was? Worldwide Shill.
Worldwide Shill.
Nifty Worldwide.
Worldwide. The Vietnamese community in particular, right?
Yes.
What do you have, like 5,000, 8,000, 10,000?
Almost 9,000, yeah.
9,000 people in Vietnam alone.
Yeah.
Wild. How did that even happen?
I mean, I guess is like community building, right? So we were fortunate enough to have some really cool people supporting us who actually speak Vietnamese. Happy Man is one guy who is in the community, and
is he appropriately named? It would be hysterical if he was just like a miserable son of a bitch.
Oh no, yeah. He's a pretty happy guy.
Man, yeah. What do you want?
What do you want from me? No, he's a pretty happy guy. But he's sort of like an unsung hero in our Vietnam community. But we also have people like Audrey, who's running our social media. She's amazing. We also have so many other people. We have Jenny, who's our Vietnam ambassador. And so essentially what we've done is sort of built an entire ecosystem in Vietnam alone, right? That we want to be able to take that and replicate to these other communities. And it's crazy because, there's like TikTok videos now about, these different, Vietnamese people with like Nifty shirts, doing all kinds of stuff. Like there's a DJ I just saw, who's wearing like a Nifty shirt, like DJing on TikTok live streams and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, if I go to Vietnam with this Nifty shirt, am I going to get recognized? Or like this Nifty hoodie,
Probably.
Well, that's, it's interesting. And
I have a friend named Jamie, who's one of my favorite people, and her idea forever was that she just wanted to make a bunch of shirts with her face on it and airdrop like hundreds of thousands of these shirts to like one remote village in sub-Saharan Africa.
So actually airdrop.
Yeah, like physically just drop it.
All right.
And then just one day in the future, just show up in that village. And they'd be like,
the gods!
That's her!
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, you might get recognized in Vietnam. Like you might just show up. They might be like, "That's my guy Ty."
Yeah, it's a good chance, honestly. It's the other thing that we've done is we actually did something pretty cool recently. We did a Nifty branded motorbike giveaway to our community.
I saw that. They're badass looking.
Dude, I would ride that shit. I mean, yeah,
it's great looking.
It is
purple. You got the Nifty logo right on the front and everything.
Yeah, it was like pink, purple, all those little colors. So it's awesome.
Speaking of which, have you seen my sneakers and my sock combination today? This is not something a grown man should wear.
This is a sneaker show.
Yeah, this is sneaker show.
Sneaker show.
Skechers.
Get out of here. They're hot, dude. They're like Spanish or something. Yeah, I had to buy these because my foot was hurting. And like the sock situation, like these things don't even go together. Like this is not, you're not supposed to do these things as a grown man in the world. This is ridiculous. But I'm into it,
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it's Web3.
Yeah. In Web3 you can do anything you want.
Yeah, pretty much. It's weird that I wear clothes.
I mean, yeah, yeah, I guess. Most people in Web3, they just wear like a hoodie and, some sweatpants, be like, I got like a couple $100 million in the bank, and I'm chilling.
Hoodie equals rich in this world.
Oh, yeah. If you pull up in a hoodie, that guy means business.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like the inverse Web2 world. A guy shows up in a suit, you're like, what are you selling, buddy?
Yeah, what kind of snake oil are you trying to give me now?
Yeah, you're in the wrong place. We're not doing insurance.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, insurance salesmen and token salesmen are probably the same types of people.
They're very similar.
But yeah, so we built a community and we kept supporting that community.
How?
One of the ways is actually through staking, and this seems very counterintuitive to a lot of people. It'd be like, oh, dude, if you keep staking, if you keep giving rewards to the community, they're just going to keep dumping on you. It's not the case. What we discovered is that our whole goal is to put the Nifty token into the hands of the people who want it or need it the most.
Right.
And so we've done that. We have created staking pools that allow users to take their existing Nifty and, of course, earn a lot more in the future. I think the APRs, are somewhere between like 50% for BNB and 120% for ETH. And
that's pretty heavy.
It's pretty good. When you consider like, at least in terms of Nifty's existence, it's actually been on an uptrend, since we began. Right, we've set new floors along the way. So the reason is partly because we're not dumping in our community. We're not selling any tokens. We don't want to.
Sweet. So do you have a fixed supply? Going back to tokenomics.
Yes.
You've got an LP pool. You've got fixed supply. What's the fixed supply?
So the fixed supply, the max total supply that can ever be minted is 1.45 billion. Okay. So
arbitrary number, or is there meaning behind it?
It's actually 1456. Sort of.
That sounds like Jesse's Girl. That sounds like the beginning of the song.
1456, call me.
That was Drake-ish, but yeah, fine.
Yeah. I'm not very good at music.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But it was not really an arbitrary number. We had to sort of reverse engineer some numbers because we ended up doing some NFTs in the beginning that we wanted to reward our NFT holders with tokens to value them as well, because we wanted, along the way, the whole goal is to give back to the community, and so we want to make sure that we don't leave anybody out, right? And by the way, Nifty Network, we launched it out of Singapore. Really cool because it's an awesome opportunity. They have a sandbox program. That's just sort of beside the point. So yeah, we have a fixed supply, and we started out with I think a 200 million or so total supply, like circulating supply, and we can only mint so much a month. Like even if I wanted to mint more, as a bad actor, I can't.
Right.
I cannot. I literally cannot. In fact,
is your mint in the smart contract? Is it auto mint on a monthly schedule?
So the way it will work, we haven't even turned minting on, by the way, and we haven't done this because we wanted to sort of get to the point where we absolutely needed to turn minting on, or otherwise we wouldn't be able to facilitate, different sort of distributions.
You're waiting for crypto COVID before you start printing coins.
Yes. If we're going to be sort of like the central bank, if you will, of our own token.
That's why I'm saying it.
Right.
I'm joking, but I'm serious.
That's
central banking operation.
Essentially, right? Like we want to be the best central bank, right? Or at least do the centralized part as well as we can, but still be able to give back to the community and do things the right way. So we can only mint so many tokens. We haven't even turned minting on yet, and the supply is actually very scarce. And that's one of the main reasons why the token has done so well, is because the supply is very scarce. You can't even get your hands on Nifty tokens in some cases, and if you do, the price is gonna go up.
Yep.
Right.
You can buy the other Nifty though.
You could buy the other Nifty.
Which is how I met you. I bought the other Nifty by accident, and it tanked. And then I was like, wait a minute, I bought the wrong contract. And then I found you to have this conversation on Twitter.
Yes.
And that's how we met. For those of you who are looking.
How I Met Your Mother.
This is how we ended up. So how we ended up here in this weird crypto family.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So scarcity. You have an LP. You pay a big 50 to 100% APY on that. First of all, how is that sustainable?
So what we did is all we have to do is allocate a certain number of tokens to the pools, and based on the number of people staking, will sort of increase or decrease the APY, right? Mm-hmm. And so obviously, if more and more people start buying the token and they are starting to stake more, then APY continues to go down, right? But it's been variably the same. I think maybe it's gone down a little bit since we've actually gotten quite a few more members. I think we got like maybe 3,000 members or so for Vietnam in like the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
We have great community incentives and operations in Vietnam alone. And like I said, we have other communities that are also stepping up and sort of taking the Vietnam approach, and we have some cool ideas, by the way. Don't know if I can maybe mention them yet, but
you can mention a little. We do a little alpha here. You can.
All right.
Throw a little bit of alfalfa. Throw a little alfalfa out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, one of the things that we have been working on is a better way of making our community more decentralized. I don't want to be in control of the token supply per se. And like we just kind of mentioned that. Like I don't want to be the central bank, right?
We had this. We've been talking about this all day.
Yes.
It's just like we're
right. So the goal is to continue to make the entire project, and I say project, I mean company, really, ecosystem, much more decentralized. So how do you do that? Well, there's a couple different ways. One of them is that you can actually use DAOs to be able to give to the community, or let the community itself sort of dictate itself, and let it grow, right? So we have a DAO that we're going to be starting. It is, I can't say the name yet, but we do have the name already. And so we're going to use this DAO to... Yeah, we're going to use this DAO to essentially fund each of these communities, right? We're going to say, hey, look, here's a set number of Nifty tokens, go use it wisely, right? Use this to grow your community. If you want to do in-person events, if you want to do virtual events, if you want to do AMAs, whatever sort of marketing or community growth tactics you think would be best, we're going to let our community leaders run that within the DAO.
It's very interesting. So essentially, you're creating a budget the way any corporation would, the way IBM would.
Right.
But instead of having the guy in the white shirt and on the 7th floor in the back of the building, sitting there going through every line item and making sure that these charges are okay. You guys are completely leaving that in the hands of this group. How do you incentivize good behavior?
That's a good question. I mean, the thing is, I think the way you incentivize it is you make everybody sort of equally invested. Why are we all here? If you can answer that question with people who are in charge, who realize the sort of impact that we can all make if we sort of utilize the funding properly, then people take it more seriously. And if you give them the power as well to even be able to make these decisions, it is such a big responsibility, and you take it much more seriously. And we're essentially so strange, like in a decentralized world that doesn't require trust, and that's sort of the whole idea. We still think that trust is such an interesting concept that, if applied correctly, can be very impactful.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
we're saying basically, like, we trust our community to be able to continue to grow itself. So we're going to put these tokens in your hands to be able to do just that, because we trust you and we believe in you, more importantly. And that's basically what we've sort of done from the start. It's based on a lot of trust. It's based on a lot of belief. But honestly, so is the way our community looks at us.
Yeah.
They look at us and say,
absolutely.
We trust you guys to be able to deliver. We believe in you to be able to deliver. And so we want to essentially reciprocate that sort of attitude back to them, instead of sort of taking this high and mighty approach that these guys aren't capable of doing it. We found that they're absolutely capable of running their own communities, and we want to reward them with that trust and belief in them. And
what's your hardware wallet of choice?
Trezor. I like Trezor a lot. You can use like a little touch screen on the new one. So Trezor Model T.
Trezor Model T.
Trezor Model T.
I better get a referral
Hardware
link for
wallet.
this.
Yeah, the hardware wallet Shill, I think you're owed money on that. Honestly, hold on a second. Trezor Model T?
Yes.
Send Uncle Johnny one of those. All right, like that. This is a merch show. Like, just send me a little thank you, guys. We put you right in the show.
Yep.
Yeah. How many of those you got around the office?
I can't reveal that information.
Ooh,
classified.
protocol.
Yes.
Protocol Shill. That's good. Yeah. That's a way to back up your own stuff right there. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. It was a trick question, by the way. I was going to fleece you for 50 million.
Nice. All right.
Good. You passed the test.
Sweet. Nice.
Well, listen, man. I love what you guys are doing at Nifty Labs. I think some of the things I've learned from you since I've known you in this short while, over the course of, I don't know, however many months, is I've learned how you build communities. And I've learned that your community building approach is, it's a real world approach, it's not a metaverse approach. And that real world approach starts with the idea of actually putting confidence in people and shielding them, right? Always being willing to jump on the grenade, which I've heard you say, not in those words, but I've heard you say it in several different points. It's how I like to think, I hope, Balcony DAO will always operate. I think it's crucial, especially when you're dealing with other people's capital like we are. But in your case, a lot of the people that you're dealing with are earning more money now working with you than they could have otherwise earned in years potentially.
Yeah.
And so you're creating this tremendous upside benefit, but you're also de-risking their downside by just being principled. And you're engaging and activating these communities by putting confidence in them and giving them responsibility. And that's something I've learned from you and just how you structure and approach these things. And I think that is crucial. I think that's why your community is so wildly engaged. I mean, like, your community is nuts. They love your project.
They're in love with the brand. They're in love with the ethos, like you said. Like, We're in love with the ethos too, and it's sort of like that love or that passion that we're trying to breed in our own ecosystem internally with the people that work with us. Like anybody who works at Nifty Labs, they'll tell you, amazing, just awesome time. Like everybody has laughs, everybody has fun. Sometimes it's stressful, but like that's life. It's like sort of growing, but we can all do it together. Nobody has to sort of like jump on top of anybody and say, oh well, you're the reason that we're not successful. No, like we're all going to be the reasons that we are either successful or not.
Yep.
And I'm not going to point fingers at anybody. We're going to all figure it out together, and that's how we view things internally. And then we also extend that out to the community. We say, oh look, like I think I want to be successful. I think our community wants to be successful. Let's do it together.
Yep.
Let's figure out how we can benefit each other instead of figuring out like, okay, how am I going to get mine? Because I'm more focused on how they're going to get theirs first. And then I think, at least from my philosophy, if I help them, then I've already helped myself.
That's the whole point. The whole point of Web3, I mean, people think it's bullshit. Like they think that it's just like a whole bunch of like gaslighting people and manipulating them. But the point is what used to be the customer is now the community. And I think the reason why people don't understand that it's a sincere comment when you're like, oh, once I've helped the community, I've already helped myself, is they think that community is this place where a whole bunch of people are hanging out playing like Monopoly or something. And then when you need them, they jump up and run out and like dig ditches for you or something. And that's just not at all what the community is. The community is the customer.
Yes.
Period. They're client 1 to 100. Like the community is the whole thing.
Now the customer owns a piece of
and now the customer
company.
Owns it. So like now your customer is also kind of your boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why that's the shift that people don't grok in Web3. That's exactly the thing they don't get about how these businesses are built, and that's why they will demolish the existing businesses that are resistant to this idea.
Yeah.
And I think companies like yours just happen to do a much better job of it than most. And the proof is in the pudding. Like we go to dinner, you send a picture of a piece of steak. There's like 300 people like, you eat that steak, Ty.
We
you
love
deserve
you.
that steak.
Yeah, I mean, well, I hope that they can have steak as well.
Not the steak we had last night.
It's a little bit more expensive,
It
but
was a whole other kind of steak.
yeah, one day we'll all eat together.
I can't even afford the steak we had last night.
I didn't.
I gotta sell these sneakers. You sold my sneakers, right?
I did, yes. I mean, it all starts with the ethos. It starts with the mindset, the person building it, the ethos. If we go into something and say, I'm going to extract value from that person or that industry, it's the wrong mindset.
It's the wrong mindset. You're not getting it anywhere. Not in this business.
And you don't deserve it either.
Yep.
You know what? Get out. Like that mindset, it's not needed here. It's not what we want to cultivate. And that's what we've done from the start. We focused on the mindset. We focused on the ethos. The ethos is, why can't everybody win?
In our community, what we've been trying to accomplish is we really want these members to learn what we have spent. I've been doing real estate deals my whole life. I've been licensed since 1999. This is live and breathe this stuff. My partners grew up in this industry. Their parents and their grandparents were developers. My other partner, Alex, is like, self-made, 20 buildings that he raised capital and bought, great guy, smart guy. What we want to do is be able to impart that knowledge on this community, make them the most educated consumer possible, and then grow their wealth and their knowledge simultaneously. That's what we want to give this community. We want them to get paid. And so like we're putting the money up front because it's a KPI, right? Like it's an actual metric, and it directly relates to how good of a job we did imparting this knowledge and allowing them to activate it and act upon it. That's what we want to do. That's what we have to build. And I'm probably going to be coming to you for a lot of notes on how to do that better as we go along, because I really appreciate your input, and I appreciate your approach.
Thank you.
You're much younger than I am, but you're wise. I think you're a real superstar. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I wouldn't be who I am without
me.
Yes. Yes. No, I mean, I wouldn't be who I am without all the people that sort of entered my life along the way. Right. It's all the different influences from the people in this industry. Both the good and the bad, that have given me sort of like this new life, this new idea of like how we can all win together. I wasn't always with the mindset that like, well, I don't have to be the only one that wins.
Yep.
And in fact, at one point in my life, I was, sort of in the mindset that, I had to be the only one that wins. And it wasn't about everybody else. But, in sort of just developing over time, I realized that like I win when everybody wins.
This positive sum economics thing is real.
Pitch down.
Pitch down. Pitch down.
Pitching the pitch down.
Pitch DAO Shill. Pitch DAO is a organization that Ty and I alluded to earlier. We're both a part of. Pitch DAO is a place for founders to meet funders, to meet devs, to find the resources they require to make their NFT projects better. And it was born at ETH Denver, where we had the first ever Pitch DAO event. Like 40 people showed up or something like that.
Yeah.
Had a great turnout. Everybody was pitching. There was investors there. There was VCs there. There was founders, funders, devs, marketing people, and they all came together. We started to like play with each other's projects. We're like, okay, this is a thing, and now we have Pitch DAO. We make no money from it. I don't think it's even possible for us to ever make any money from it, to be honest with you, or at least I honestly just don't care.
I don't really care. That's not my goal.
No. What's really cool about it is that it works.
Yes.
There's like 35 organizing members right now. There's a handful of us that kind of like were the early guys that put the thing together, and it just keeps on growing. Now we're doing an event here in Barcelona. We're doing one in Miami. We're doing one in San Francisco. You did one in San Francisco.
NFTLA.
Yeah, NFTLA. So like we're already a global organization, and we've been around for
a month.
And I did the first logo on my phone, which is
great.
Don't undersell it.
It was great.
Test logo of all time. Yeah,
Yes,
it's the greatest logo.
Yes.
I mean, look, I've gotten a lot of comments from people that their minds are blown. You know what I mean? Like they don't the artistry.
They even asked like, "Wow, who was this artist?" And I say, "You haven't met John Belitsky?"
A lot of people call me the Banksy of niche DAO logos. I'm that guy. You don't know who
those don't exist.
Or neither does Banksy. Anyway, Pitch DAO's amazing. We built it. It's here. It's growing. You should be a part of it. You should join it. Nifty's amazing. You should take a look at Nifty. You should join their community. If you're in Vietnam, disregard. You're probably already in the community because the whole country apparently works for Nifty.
Yes.
But if you're in some other country, definitely join the community. Join the Discord. I'm in the Discord. Very active Discord. Very well run. Good people. Good project. And another great example of how NFTs are going to be used in the real world to change our lived experiences. This is real technology. These are not weird pixelated robots playing Rock'em Sock'em in the metaverse someplace. This is going to the grocery store, going to a concert. This is buying a car, selling a car. This is
daily life,
investing in real estate or not. This is getting an education, your degree, your diploma, your deed, your title. Everything that you could think of is going to be financialized through this system, and it's going to be brought on-chain through the NFT. This match has ended. Go in peace.
Go in peace.
Amen. Oh, but before we go, shill us out. Give us the critical Nifty shill on the way out.
The critical Nifty shill. The critical Nifty shill is that I don't necessarily have to sell you anything. I just want to offer the opportunity to join us as we, traverse the metaverse and real world use cases for NFTs. I'm interested in teaching people about this, these concepts, and more broadly, all of us at Nifty Labs and in the community, we're interested in getting more people to understand how everybody can win together. And additionally, we're launching a new product called Social Pass very soon here. I believe by the time this video is out, it may already be out in internal beta and network betas. And it'll be shortly out with other partners that we're going to be launching with in May. So if you guys want to check out more about Nifty Labs, you can check us out on Twitter, NFTYLAB, or you can check out our website, niftylabs.io. And we'll have a lot more resources for you guys to follow. But, oh yeah, if you want to, follow me, I am at TYTANINC, Titan Inc. It's not Titanic. I know what it looks like, but it's not. It's Titan Inc. Or Titan.eth. And you can follow me, and we'll do all kinds of fun journeys together. So thanks, guys. Appreciate this.
Yeah, that was good. I would say that that's the no sell shill. You're like, don't buy my token, join my movement. It's the no sell shill.
No sell.
I like that. Otherwise known as semantic shill. I like it though. It's good. You got a good shill. You got a good business. You got a good hustle. I like your stilo. Great having you on the show. Thank you for coming down here, dropping a little alpha.
Appreciate it, sir.
We will do this and stakes again in the future.
Boom.
Everybody from Barcelona at the Avalanche Summit. Peace.
Peace.
They try to find other ways to say I'm
no,
degenerate.
dude. Like the way you get over hangover is you gotta drink more alcohol. Dude, I tell you,
It works every time.
works every time.
Why do you think I'm never sober?
Yeah.